We're just getting ourselves sorted here. It is Thursday, so we are live on X and YouTube. And today we got a few things to go over in veteran land. It's going to be a little shorter. My back is doing terribly. And because of that, I'm about 2 edibles in. So if I lose track, just go in the comments, be like, Dave, I don't know what you're talking about, bro. Bring her back to baseline. Steer this ship home. So a few of the things I want to go over today were the following. What the hell was Sarge doing? Sajjan thinking the other day came out in the newspaper that he was requesting 100 troops participate in some Punjabi pop concert. Kind of weird. And then we have the JBP, Jordan B. Peterson interview that was one of the first that I've seen in pop culture, like modern pop culture, with veterans. So with 2 generals, right? General Mason and General Norman. So we'll get into that. Also updates on Op Valor and the CDS's new message. So let's get right into it. Before we do that, let's make sure we get the comment section rolling. If you are tuning in and this is your first time, drop Virgin in the comments. If it is your second, third, fourth, fifth time, drop Veteran in the comments. And I'd love to hear where you're tuning in from, as well as people start to fill in the room. We're almost at a dozen. Oh, we just hit a dozen. So as folks trickle in, let's start with the share and shill moment. So let's start with the sharing part. We've got ordinary Canadian dude on Insta sharing his wins. Okay, big win. Hey, fuckers. 6 weeks ago, I changed my nutrition on the advice of the Veterans Getting Fit AF community, of which I am the creator. And the plan that was there, I was in caloric deficit for too long. I need to refeed with the way I was training. 4 weeks ago, I started the training plan. And even though I've been off all week with a busted up back, I feel you, brother, I still owe the program a week to finish because the bitch is a finisher. And I'm down 10 pounds in 6 weeks. That's 1.66 pounds per week, which is a pretty healthy and attainable goal. And that weight was taken at 8:20 p.m. and should be weighing heavier as you were. Just wanted to brag a bit, keep pushing off the X. So congratulations. Hey, ordinary Canadian dude. Well done, my friend. Well done. Got to share the wins when they're there, right? All right. And we've also got now a moment that I want to share a Canadian company with you. So RVZ just spoke with Will, the one of the founders and executives here at the company, Canadian Forces veteran, and create this incredible service. So if you want to hop in an RV and go take a trip, you can rent one from somebody who owns the RV, who just has it sitting in the parking lot. So it's basically like Airbnb for RVs. Really cool what he's doing. All over the continental US and Canada, you can find an RV that's not being used and rent it out. I think it's a really badass idea. I've never been in an RV in my life, but I kind of want to now. So if you want to go check out his website, it's right here. It's rvz.com. I'll drop it in the comments as well. Actually, why don't I just drop it in right now instead of being lazy? Here we go. And if you're considering a trip anywhere and you want to get an RV, head to RVZ. Will's a cool guy. Thanks, Will. This is not a paid spot. This is just me sharing what's going on in the veteran community. In terms of getting into how I'm doing, right? I'm just going to share with you just a little bit of the fact that I'm in a bit of discomfort, like I said earlier. And the reason why I'm in discomfort is because my back sucks. I hurt my back while deployed, and it just is what it is. So my discs, they shift from time to time. And yesterday I was having a good roll. I haven't been back in a few weeks. And I was literally just standing up, kind of chilling after a roll. And I got up from, semi-seated position, and my back just went bink. And I can tell right away. I'm like, oh, that's it. I'm toast. So all yesterday was shit. Today, shit. The pain sucks. It just is what it is. But I am happy that I took action, and that's why I've got the Nimble Warrior up here. So that's my book right here. So if you don't have a copy, this is the protocol I've used to help me have a lot fewer of these moments. So you can find it on Amazon. It's also here in the description. I would say that, if you have these back issues like I do from time to time, whether it's service related or not, it's a back issue. It's a very common injury. Use what I've developed here in the book. It's a simple process. It will safeguard your back from going out more often than it was for me. It was like every month for me. Now I have maybe 1 or 2 a year. So I'm a lot happier. I know I'm not broken anymore. I just know that, hey, when this happens, it is what it is. And I'll get back to my standard routine in a few days, maybe in a week tops. Okay, so that's it for me. If you have a copy of the book, I'd love to get a review as well. So head over to Amazon either way. And if you haven't got a copy, make sure to head over to Amazon or drop a comment Nimble in here, and I'll get you one. I'll get you the details on how to get it. Okay, so moving on to the last thing I want to share, which was a new group we've got going on here. So the Veterans Walking Group is the best title I have for it right now. We just started at Le Sentier in Dorval. So if you're a Montreal area veteran, come on down every Monday at noon. So this is the starting time, or we're getting it off the ground. We're going to take a little stroll because we know that physical activity trumps not just psychotherapy, but psychotherapy and medication combined when it comes to improving mental health outcomes, improving things like PTSD. So going for a walk is critically important, but the overwhelming majority of us, like 92% of us, don't even do 20 minutes of walking every day. So this is going to try and spur that and get it initiated. So there's no fee. You can just show up. If you follow us at Le Sentier, so the trail, on their Instagram account, you'll get updates, but you can also follow what's going on here at voluntold.co, which is a company I'm a proud founder of. You can find more information there as we post on social media. You can also join our mailing list at voluntold.co and get the updates there as well. And so if you're in the Montreal area and you are a veteran, come on out at noontime every Monday and we'll go for a little stroll. No PT experience required. We're literally just going for a walk, nice and leisurely. We'll try and grab a coffee if we can and just enjoy the day, rain or shine. All right. So what I want to get into today. So there's a few things happening in the news, and I want to just dive into them quickly. And before we do, I always forget to do this, guys. It's part of the process. I'm still getting used to doing this YouTube live stuff, but to just check in with some of the comments here. So we got 4-1 Alpha tuning in from the Nanaimo. Thanks for tuning in, 4-1 Alpha. And we got Friday Terry, a regular. Welcome back, Friday Terry. Hey, everyone. And Headley Man BC. Headley here, good stuff. Thanks, Headley Man. Appreciate it. So let's get into the main meat of what we want to go over today, which is some of the stuff that's going on in the news, right? And the main thing I wanted to look at to start with is how it's going for Sarge these days. Our former Minister of National Defense, who's now Minister of Emergency Preparedness and Security. Is that it? This guy keeps on stepping in it, man. What's up with it? I was so optimistic because it was the first time in a long time that we had a defense minister who was actually a veteran. You know, mad respect to Sajjan. He's got, I think, 3 tours in Afghanistan, 1 in Bosnia. Like, the guy gave her, like, he sent it. Good for him. Now, being a politician and being a good officer, I guess, are 2 different things. But it also speaks to his character because these things keep on piling up. So Sajjan in the news here defends request to use soldiers as backdrop for Diljit Dosanjh concert. Sajjan endorsed request because Dosanjh is the biggest Punjabi artist in the world, spokesperson says. So this story broke last week. I wanted to get into it last week, but I just didn't have the bandwidth. Sajjan is Canada's emergency preparedness minister. And he's defending the official request he made to use Canadian soldiers as the backdrop for a concert by Punjabi pop star Diljit Dosanjh, one of India's biggest actors and singers. Okay. Something's weird here. I'll be honest. Something is weird here. Only because using soldiers as a backdrop in uniform for a pop concert seems like fishy AF, man. Soldiers aren't props. All of us that serve, we know that. I mean, sure, we're tools of the government, whatever you want to call us, but we're not props. We're professionals. We're not something that gets hired out to stand and look pretty somewhere. Okay, well, I digress. I was part of ceremonial guard for many years. Yeah, we were there to look good. I get it. We didn't serve a functional capacity, but it was Army sanctioned. Like the Army was part of this process of highlighting things that the Canadian Armed Forces can do to instill pride and, project that, we're competent professional soldiers, etc. So, okay, I just made myself feel better on that one. But in this case, I'm guessing he just wanted like 100 soldiers at this dude's concert, and he's a Sikh. So he's like, yeah, well, like the Sikh connection, like we'll hook you up, bro. Don't worry. I'll get my boys. Like I'll call them down. I mean, this isn't like doing like a flag ceremony for a hockey game, because, we've done those before, present arms. It's formal. It's formal. We're doing something. We're not just some backdrop. And like, would they just would it be like a bunch of reservists that would show up and sign a pay sheet? What was going on? Like, how was this conceived? Let's go on a little bit further here and let's see what he had in mind. Minister Sajjan agreed the concert would be a good opportunity for the Canadian Armed Forces to engage with and expand connect to a diverse community of young Canadians along the lines of the CAF outreach and recruiting events at professional sporting events. Sajjan's press secretary. See, I just mentioned the sports events. But the thing is with the sports events, like it's one thing to be invited as a guest and get a seat and watch it, maybe in uniform, but you're not a prop. You're going there as like veteran appreciation or soldier appreciation day. Cool. And if you're on the ice and you're doing a salute, you're not part of the game. You're not on the ice. Like there's, you know what I mean? There's a difference there. You're doing something formal. Or you're singing the national anthem, whatever. But being part of that, there's something weird about that. What do you think about that? Isn't that weird? I think that's weird. What else do you have to say? Request would not be feasible. Okay. So the request was determined that meeting this request would not be feasible due to the tight timeline and personnel availability. Well, yeah. I mean, it's crucial that participation in such events does not impact domestic or international operations, and our operational readiness must be sustained at all times. Okay, so anyways, like if this were the only thing that he did, then I can understand. All right, that's just a dummy thing to do. Like, just don't do that again, right? Like, it's not your own personal military. It's not your own. These aren't your own personal guys that you can just decide to randomly task out. I don't know, that would seem fishy just as a one-off, but this guy has done shit like this from the start. Like, look at this. Like, we all know this, right? He relayed information on rescuing Sikhs in Afghanistan during chaotic fall of Kabul. Dude, you serious? The military is not your private army. You're the minister. It's not your job to command it. The commanders are the CDS and the military command. You give suggestions. The commander is actually the royal family. It's the governor general. It's the king. They serve at the pleasure of you, but you can't really order the CDS to do anything. They're all more or less suggestions. It's a weird system we have, I know. But ordering this and then having it completely fail, and then on top of that, screw the pooch on the actual mission where we're actually trying to get our own folks out that were actually vetted, not these Sikhs that had nothing to do with the mission in Afghanistan whatsoever, other than the fact that they were Sikhs. That's so ethically wrong, man. Like, isn't that insane? So this guy just goes and does what he wants with the military. Clearly, like, for him, he doesn't see it as well. No, there's got to be some ethical violations here. And was there a kickback with the concert? You know what I mean? Why would you go to those lengths? There seems to be something fishy here. There seems to be some connections here that I'm not entirely sure of. Maybe you guys know more. Maybe you guys can fill in the comments what you think is going on here. But I think this guy's sketchy. I think he's super, super sketchy. And to top it all off, if you guys have been paying attention, right? This was kind of the first introduction that this guy's integrity might not be the best, where he was apparently the architect of Op Medusa. Now, I wasn't on Op Medusa, but clearly massive operation, if not the largest since Korea, I believe. Like, this was a large scale operation that Canada was spearheading in Kandahar. And he went out and said in India, like it says here in the article, and this is from 2017, don't forget, that he was no stranger to conflict. Talking about, at the Conflict Prevention and Peacekeeping in a Changing World conference in New Delhi. So he's talking about his role. Now, he went on to say that, where's the part here? He does mention that on my first deployment, there it is. On my first deployment in Kandahar in 2006, I was kind of thrown into an unforeseen situation. I became the architect of an operation called Operation Medusa, where we removed over about 1,500 Taliban fighters off the battlefield. That's weird. And we removed over. That's a weird way to say it, right? Like, you killed them. Like, you made them unalive. Anyways, and I was very proud to be on the main assault of that force, he said, adding that he was recognized for his efforts. Yeah, that's such a sketchy thing to say too. You know, people are going to say, dude, you didn't. I mean, what? He was a reservist captain. Like, he wasn't a battle captain, right? Like that. He wasn't an RCR company commander. So anyways, I'm just curious, what could have been his role? You know what I mean? Especially at that time, right? That was over a decade ago. He would have been a junior mid-level officer, or maybe was he a major at the time? I don't know. It was not a cool thing to be saying, but now we've got a pattern. This guy's got a pattern. He's clearly, like, his integrity, not the greatest. And the evidence is here. So I just want to see how you guys are thinking about that. Like, is this guy for real? Is this somebody that really represents the veteran community? Is this somebody that really represents who we are as Canadians? In my opinion, this guy should be gone, man. There's no reason why a guy like this should still be in cabinet. Just let alone the government. In any normal world, I mean, if I was PM, when I'm prime minister, how about that? Shout out to the memers talking about me and Dallas being PM and deputy PM. This guy would have to go. Dude, the integrity. Come on, the integrity of the office. Come on, you went ahead and you tried to use the special forces as your own special forces team to extract your own people at the request of, I don't know, was it at the request of a foreign government, a foreign organization, a non-governmental organization? Too many questions, bro. Hit the bricks. So let's go to the comments. Let's see what you folks are saying. Yeah, fuck him. Yeah. You wanted the money. Yeah. Terry, what do you guys say? He stepped in because he's the only one laying down the deuces. Oh, shit. Oh, man. Oh, it's getting spicy. It's getting spicy in the comments. Ethics, not a single politician in this country has any. Yeah, I don't know if that's a true statement. I'm sure there's politicians that have some ethics. They're probably just not at the higher esh of politics. Maybe we got to step in, get that done. Given some context here, 4-1 Alpha, he was a major. Thanks for clarifying. And short and long on the main assault as a fucking Civic. Hey, I was Simic, bro. I was Simic. Nothing wrong with Simic. But yeah. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say at the tip of the spear. More like a follow-on, doing some battle damage assessments. Yeah. So okay, I didn't know he was Simic. So thanks for that. Thanks for that. Reserve int op. Into author of Op Medusa. Okay, so reserve intelligence. I know he was reservist in BC. I wasn't quite sure. And if he was Simic, he wasn't. That's not an intelligence position. But I think he was an infantry officer, was he? Simic is in a higher tier than yeah, no, not quite, dude. I was just I'm pretty sure this is a joking and tone that you're using here, and you're being sarcastic. I was Simic. There was no special force. Although I would argue that the role that I had and what I was doing was very. It wasn't JTFE, but I think I just made up my own verb there. But it was teetering on the lines of even PSYOP stuff. That is, I'm pretty sure, a special forces tasking in any other military. But in Canada, we give massive amounts of responsibility to random reservists with like a backpack full of money and literally no chain of command to tell me what to do. Best job I've ever had in my life. I don't think it'll ever come close to getting anything close to that. But yeah, Simic is definitely not special forces. Definitely not. Okay, so I got a little bit off topic, guys. The edibles are kicking in. Woo! Let's go. All right. So the next thing we need to tackle here is the JBP interview that he did with Maisonneuve, and Norman. Sounds good, eh? I'm going to be doing a little bit more deep dive into this episode because I want to. Because it's rare that we get veterans and especially the generals to actually say anything on anything pop cultural-ish. And Jordan B. Peterson being like the pop culture guy, this is great. And it's just continuing his, I guess, journey talking to veterans. Namely, he spoke with Kelsey Sharon last month, 2 months ago, which is pretty cool. So I'm going to dive into this a little bit more, but ultimately what I can tell you is that what I heard from this is that we're missing the mark, and Canadians are right out to lunch when it comes to the importance of our military and why we need it, and are not tracking the fact that it's in a bad way, because Canadians just don't care. Right? They're making a compelling case as to why we need to care, and I'll get into a few of the points of why that is, but why I also think that I don't know if that care is going to show up anytime soon. And just based off the views, the typical views for Jordan B. Peterson videos, like it's got like no views. It's got hundreds of thousands of views, but he usually gets millions. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to be posting that by end of day tomorrow or Saturday on the channel. And then part of what I wanted to cover off is this video didn't load properly, but I did a video, and
we've been farming.
It's muted here. I've been covering stuff with respects to what's going on in the calf for a while. So if you're like new to the channel, that's okay. I can get you up to speed pretty quickly. But I did a video on how the calf was spending $1 billion to basically improve it, right? And since the video doesn't want to behave, I went over this point that was highlighted in a article in the Globe and Mail that Jennie Carignan, who's in charge of, in this case, the culture department, whatever you want to call it, did a survey of 9,000 troops. And 9,000 troops, the main thing that they were concerned about was their mission. What are we doing here? What is the point of the CAF and the warrior culture? And since it's not playing, which is unfortunate, I'm going to use this as a backdrop as to how this relates to the Jordan B. Peterson interview. So if you want to check it out, it's called Ignoring the Troops Shouldn't Cost $1 billion. And I'll drop the link here to you for you. And I'll put this here. So this was done 2 years ago, by the way, this commentary. And I want to know what your thoughts are in this video's comments as to if I was on the mark or not, because it's good to go back and see how how you're doing. And then that brings us to Op Valor, right? Op Valor, if you guys are not tracking, but I'm sure a bunch of you are, especially if you're coming from the Vets for Freedom community, are the two lawsuits essentially that are taking the Canadian Armed Forces to court for abuse of power because they showed the door to 330 folks wrongfully, right? It was basically wrongful dismissal, abuse of power because of well, you know why. I don't even want to say it on this show anymore. Like the show is so tightly controlled when I speak about the thingy that goes in your arm. I don't even want to say it anymore. It's pure censorship. But the lawsuits are essentially about the abuse of power around that. And Catherine, I know, is working her absolute butt off to get all the paperwork done because there is a motion to dismiss by the government, obviously. So she's got all the evidence just getting compiled right now. And I believe she has to the end of this week to get that all done. So there's going to be an update coming down the pipe very shortly. And I can't wait to have Catherine back on to discuss it. So if you are curious about that, you're going to want to subscribe if you haven't subscribed already to this show, because we're going to drop the news here, because you know damn well there is not a single mainstream media outlet that's going to report on one of the largest lawsuits the Canadian Armed Forces has ever had, if not the largest lawsuit Canadian Armed Forces has ever had. It's like $500 million. That's a lot of freaking cheddar, man. $500 million. It's crazy. So that's Op Valor 1 and 2. Go check it out. And if you want to help out the cause, you can go here and support by clicking the link and making a donation. And you can also volunteer, right? But as you guys are probably tracking, this lawsuit has long been closed, right? So the other ones are in the pipe, are here somewhere, but you're going to have to go to the website, and I'll noodle around here a little bit. But there's a few other websites. There's a few other lawsuits that are coming down the pipe that I'll be sure to put on the show as they arise. Okay, and then I wanted to wrap this up by looking at the most recent statement from the defense team staff, right? So that's Chief of Defense Staff Jennie Carignan and the Chief Warrant Officer Bob McCann. So this was sent to every member of the Canadian Armed Forces just recently, and I'll read it out because some of you might be listening on audio. Defense team, together with CAF Chief Warrant Officer Bob McCann, I'm honored to lead this incredible organization. We deeply value the trust placed upon us and are dedicated to continuing our mission with unwavering commitment. Okay. Cool. That's a pretty generic statement. I got nothing to say about that. Next paragraph I do, though. In today's complex and unpredictable global security environment, we face numerous challenges that demand our constant vigilance and adaptability. International conflicts continue to shape our strategic landscape, while the impacts of natural disasters create additional pressures on our operational readiness and humanitarian response capabilities. Okay. The rapidly evolving nature of global threats, including hybrid warfare and terrorism, requires us to remain resilient and forward-thinking in our approach to defense. Okay. So what I like about this, there's actually a mention of international conflicts. Okay. So there's a recognition there. Awesome. And including hybrid warfare and terrorism requires us to remain resilient and forward-thinking in our approach to defense. Yeah, it does. But those could just be a big word salad, right? which is typical of what to expect in Canada. Just we legislate and talk about things and make people feel good about stuff, but the action isn't there. The next paragraph is where things kind of go off the rails for me. Our ability to meet these challenges head on depends first and foremost on our people. Without a strong and dedicated workforce, all the best capabilities, training, and plans mean very little. Therefore, our number one priority is the recruitment and retention of skilled personnel across all branches of the military. This is where I have a problem, because if the number one priority is recruitment, you're going to screw it up. And I'll explain to you why. My number one priority as a business is to make money. I have to make money in order to stay in business, or else my business closes. So my number one priority is not recruiting more people. So essentially advertising. My number one priority is bottom line. That's my bottom line. That's what I'm focusing on. In this, initial paragraph, what makes me a little bit apprehensive is that the number one priority here isn't destroying the enemy, isn't winning wars. It's personnel. And that tells me their mindset is more bureaucratic. Hey, let's warm everybody up with a nice warm hug. Let's make sure all your the priority needs to be the war fighting, because if the war fighting is the priority, then everything else falls in line with that priority. And that's how everything has to align in a business. And if this is the case for the military, if your prime focus is the personnel, then the actual war fighting is going to go out the window. And then the personnel are going to feel like they were lied to because they came into an organization that isn't focused on the war fighting. It's focused on them. That's a disconnect. And if you do it with the military, or if you do it with your clients, it creates friction, and then you have people drop out and leave. Okay, so I'd like to know what you guys think about that. That initial statement on the last paragraph, does it sound right to you, or do you have issues with it? So let's head back into the comments. Let's see what folks are saying right now. So if we go to back up to, okay, here we go. 9,000 troops, all of them then. No, don't know the reference. They were all horrible soldiers who did not blindly follow orders. Not quite sure what you're talking about there. Arm James 22, welcome back. Good to have you back on the show. Tuning in again. Appreciate it. Even when the government overreached their powers and went against the people's constitutional rights, they have forgotten how and who put them there in the first place. Yeah, it's a great comment. I mean, politicians, especially here in the West, I mean, it seems like they forget the cardinal rule that they serve at our pleasure. It's not a job that they have a permanency in, which I think is how they see it. They see it as, well, I get my pension here. It's like, no. You serve us. And if we don't like you anymore, you're not serving us, you're gone. But then they do everything in their power to try and thwart that. And then we pay for their reports. We pay their salary. We pay for everything. We own that. That's ours. And to arrogantly not permit us to see things, to be privy to things, to just have it locked out, not cool. And we see it more and more and more. So yeah, I agree with you there. Now and another, just a follow-on comment from Arm James. Now they want to put restrictions on where we protest by adding more policies to where we can protest these so-called bubble protesting areas. Unbelievable. Yeah, it's yeah, which is a clear charter offense, right? But the charter doesn't mean anything here in Canada. It means like zero. It's like toilet paper. It's useless. It's not like the Constitution in the United States. I've recognized that now. I've recognized that is a very big difference between us and the Americans, right? And talking about CAF wants nothing more than to have people who blindly follow. Okay, yes, okay. Thanks for clearing up there, short and long. Talking about how the CAF just wants people to follow orders. Yeah, it's unfortunate. But I think it's more of a Canadian thing too. I don't think it's just a CAF. I think we're such a rule following type people that's just an extension of who we are. Being nice. Being nice isn't being kind. Being nice is being a pushover. Being nice is lying to yourself. You're for the greater good, for the peace of the community, right? I won't say anything. I don't want to ruffle any feathers. We need more guys like Don Cherry, essentially. We need more, I don't give a shit, hockey players, right? Being in politics, mixing it up. Because it's a weird duality we have here. We have that side of us, fighters, guys that go to like the First World War and basically create the Geneva Conventions because we, smash people's heads with spiked bats. But then we have like our political class and our upper class that they're risk averse. There's no imagination. There's basically this, I guess, patriarchal. I hate using that term, but it's condescending. Like they're there. We got this. Don't worry about it. And they'll be nice to everybody, and we'll never ever get anything done. And then they'll have to do like a million. I'm going on a tangent here, but there's just way too much study, way too much. Oh my God, what if I take a risk and it fails type attitude here that it just stymies everything. And this is like case in point. If we're looking at this statement again, like the main mission is the people. So people are at the heart of everything we do, and their dedication and expertise are the foundations of our strength. Ensuring that we attract and retain top talent is essential for maintaining the effectiveness and readiness of the Canadian Armed Forces. Okay, so with that comment, I'm expecting a big statement from General Jennie soon, like a big one. Get all the press, bring them all in, be like, hey, when we kicked everybody out for not following the mandates, we did something wrong, and we're going to fix this. Because we can't move forward as a military if they don't trust us, the leadership. And this was a mistake, and we've been taken to court for it, hopefully found guilty. And now we need to move on with some, if they want to call it corrective justice. I don't know what they want to call it these days to make it like sensitive, but hey, we need to sort this out. We did something wrong, and let's build those bridges, because it takes them 10 times more time to rebuild a bridge that you burned. And a lot of the troops that you burn those bridges. I'm not talking about the veterans that are out. Like, I'm not talking about getting them back in. Like, that's not even the conversation here. It's like, hey, we really messed up. Like, they're so quick to apologize about other things, right? But when you actually destroy the morale of the military, and all it takes is one terrible policy, which is what they did, right? Terrible policy. So nearsighted. That's step number one if you want to like retain folks. And then on the back end too, if you want folks to stay in long term, I know the CAF doesn't have really much to do. It doesn't have anything to do with veterans, other than the fact that they probably suggest that some of us get extra surveillance when we're getting out, just to make sure we stay in line, right? And the best way to recruit, in my opinion, is to have a bunch of folks like myself as shining examples of what you could be post-career. Like, I mean, if it wasn't for the mismanagement and the shit leadership, just those two things, hey man, everything would have been like easy peasy. It would have been great. But you don't have it. You break trust all the time. There's too many broken systems. And then you have veterans that get mistreated at the end. We don't get our pensions on time. There's all kinds of scandals going on with MAID. Like, it's one nightmare after another. So why would you join? And then on top of that, you see that guys can't live on their own because the cost of living is too high, just et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So look, I'm just saying, this is my point of view, make the mission warfighting. The troops want that. It's a no-brainer. Hey, we're focusing on warfighting. Oh shit, you win most people back over. But what does that actually mean? It means we're going to focus on training. We're going to get a fucking shit ton of guns. We're going to actually make sure that we have fighter pilots. That's what we're going to do. We're going to bolster our defense, and I'm going to lobby government to make sure we get that funding, make sure that we actually have a plan. Solid. That would be amazing. And then if she could get procurement sorted out, she'd be the best CDS in history. Is she going to do it? I don't know. But I wish her well. I hope she can change things. But I'm not optimistic. Curious to know what you guys think in the comments. Let's get into it. Let's do some comment time. Drop your questions if you have any. Let's get into it. I got a few minutes before I got to pick up my kids. All right. Back to Arms James. Our military men and women are in service, and that service is different than being a citizen. Our military are to be killing machines and to take out the enemy. Do I have this right? Well, yeah. I mean, the military serves two purposes, right? It serves to aggressively enforce the political will of the government. And then the other one is to defend and be a deterrent against anybody wanting to, fuck around and find out. It's not any more complicated than that. You make it complicated, and this is what they get into in the Jordan B. Peterson episode. You make it complicated when the mission isn't what we just talked about here, just a deterrence and being able to, violently enforce the political will. So if your goal isn't to win wars, like when I talked to Stu Scheller, the Marine Corps Lieutenant Colonel, about why he was so critical in uniform of his superiors, he's like, nobody was here to fight and win the war. He's like, if you're a general and you're in charge of the Afghan war, you better come back victorious. If not, you're fucking fired. You're gone. Next. Like, if you're not willing to live here and see this thing through, then we're not going to war. And I have to totally agree. If our armed forces aren't geared to go fight wars and win them, why do we have it? And even if we're not an expeditionary force, then we should have scary ass teeth when we growl, so that anybody that wants to step over the line, like, I don't know, a Russian sub or a Russian destroyer in our waterways, they go, Canadians aren't that big, but they get ferocious and they got some serious bite. Maybe we shouldn't mess. Like just me thinking out loud here. Just me thinking out loud. So yeah, great comment, James. Let's go to 4-1 Alpha. And you thought the first Decade of Darkness was terror. For folks who don't know what the Decade of Darkness is, that was a period in the 90s where it was the peace dividend after the Berlin Wall fell. And I was at the end of it because 2001 is when I joined, and that's when 9/11 happened. So then in a panic, like Canada always does, like World War I, World War II, oh my God, we got to create a military. So we kind of panicked into Afghanistan and then bit off more than we could chew. But yeah, Decade of Darkness. So on my recruit course, we didn't have any ammo. It's how ghetto we were. We had ammo when we went on the live range, but we had to be really judicious with it. But we didn't have any ammo, especially our pyro, for any of our training exercises. And so all we did was militia rounds. Bang, 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 bang. And I remember joining being like, this is so ghetto. I thought the military was like this lean, mean, like army machine. I thought it was going to be like the movies. It wasn't like the movies. So that was coming out of the Decade of Darkness for sure. I guess this is our next one. But you know what? Morale wasn't low when I joined. So I don't know what it was like if any of you folks are Decade of Darkness survivors. What was it like? I don't know. I don't know what it was like other than stories from some of my buddies. We got a question here from Bird Flu C. William. Shipping to BMOQ next month. Any tips as a 36-year-old? Oh boy, you're really going for it, man. All right. Well, it's a big game of Simon Says. Play the game of Simon Says well. Listen, do what you're told. There's no pushing back at this level. Okay, you do what you're told. You do what you got to do. Do it well, and help your buddies out as soon as you can. That's it. That's BMOQ. Pay attention to detail and just learn. That's it. You're gonna suck at everything, and that's the point. So enjoy. So glad you decided to sign up, especially at 36. It's a bit harder. Just not gonna lie. It's a bit harder. I joined at 19. Most join a little bit earlier. Your body can handle it. So you're gonna be sleep deprived. It's gonna suck. So if you're doing the full-time course, when you get leave, sleep up, hydrate, take better care of your body. A 19-year-old can go get like messed up on the weekend, no problem. And then come back and be fresh on Monday. At 36, you cannot do that. just say it. Logos, responsible for procurement? No. Kind of yes and no. It's not my wheelhouse. Maybe another podcast episode at some point. She would not be CDF. She wasn't like the rest of them. Yeah, you're right. I mean, CDS is a political appointment, right? They got to toe the line. So it's not like we're going to have a radical in there. They're all ring knocker RMC types, right? So it is what it is, right? They talk about diversity, but diversity of thought is more important than anything, in my opinion. So it doesn't matter what the color of your skin is. If you can have the exact same thought pattern as the entire organization, and that's where I think we get stuck. We're stuck in this box, this iron box that we can't get out of, because that's the way we've created our military. The way to move your way up is only through like your PR process, and so you get groomed from the start to move up. But you can't have some battlefield major be outstanding on the field of battle and like leap up to a like staff general position, because it's not the way our system. It's like, oh, you gotta wait your turn. Well, why? He seems like he's a badass warrior. Seems like he could be commanding the entire army. Shouldn't he? It's because we're not based off of war anymore. We're based off of bureaucracies. So you fight for your positions. Plus we have a shit ton of general positions. Anyways, I digress. But yeah, you're right. There's a lot of unilateral thinking. Chinese ship poking in the Arctic. Yeah, was it Chinese? Russian? I don't know. Yeah, of course it's going to happen. I mean, it's basically undefended. Like, I don't know, man. It takes a big effort. Like, man, I've been on our ships. Like, I wasn't in the Navy. It's impressive. But to have a ship and to have all the logistics support Arctic operations, holy shit. Like, I wouldn't even know where to start. I don't think we have much capacity up there. So what do we do? It's not like you can build a ship overnight. It's not like you can build the logistics structure overnight. I don't know, man. It's a whole other podcast. Somebody should start a Canadian procurement podcast. Russian sub could surface in St. Lawrence and be gone or get assets there. Yeah, probably. Although I don't know how good the Russians are these days with their fleets, but likely significantly better than ours. Glad it could help. Bird flu. That wasn't just militia rounds. Yeah, fair enough. Cool. Well, folks, I'm glad we got this one in the books. I think I'm going to go have another edible. I'm feeling a lot better. I'll be doing some of my exercises, and you should too, just as preventative, so you don't get all jammed up like me. And then hopefully next week I'll be back on the jiu-jitsu match. But just to recap, check out rvz.com. Head over to his site. Will's a great guy. And you're going to also want to check out the veteran walking group here in Montreal in the City of Dorval at the Le Sentier Veterans Center every Monday at noon. Drop a comment in this video if you want more details, or head to Le Sentier, the trail, on Instagram, or voluntold.co on Instagram for more details on that. And yeah, get your hands on a copy of my book. Get your hands on a copy of my book here. I'll expand it up for you so you can see it. This one right here. Boom. Okay. It's on Amazon. You can get an e-version as well. There's no audio version, unfortunately, but go check it out. And if you like it, go leave it a review. And lastly, stay tuned for the episode that's dropping this week on my comments about the Jordan B. Peterson interview with Maisonneuve, and Norman. And guys, really appreciate you tuning in. As always, train hard, fight easy. See you on the next one. See you next Thursday. Make sure to share with friends. Get them over here, right? Get them tuning in. And catch you on the next one. Peace.